who am I? Well, isn't that just a lifelong question? And I've made that my life's work. Who am I? So the classic world around us would introduce myself as Vanessa Louise Moore. I am. Your eyes would see me as a woman, and I'm a mum, soon to be. I'm a daughter, sister, friend, all the things that you talked about earlier, Can, in your introduction. Um, in the 15 odd minutes that I have, and do let me know when you want me to wrap up, would you please type any questions you have as I'm going, if there's anything you want me to clarify as I'm going along?
Vanessa, there is one thing. Is there any chance you could up your mic? Or I think you sound a little bit muted.
I've got it as loud as I possibly can, but would you just like me to speak up?
Yeah, I think so. I think it would help. Thank you.
Everybody hear me? Okay, cool. I'll do my best to speak up. So they're basically all the labels that I would describe myself as is who I am. Interestingly enough, though, over the last probably about 3 or 4 years, I've done a lot of work on myself and personal development in discovering actually who am I. And it's a question I actually ask myself every single day. And that's kind of really just what I wanted to share with you today, is how I got to be where I am briefly, but also the difference that it's made to my life and how I want to have some impact in this world. And BeCollaboration is helping me massively with that. Who am I without all those labels? I describe myself as pure joy connected to source, and it is now my life's mission to help other people understand, recognize their magnificence and who they are as individuals behind all the labels of man, woman, father, brother, sister, business person, whoever it might be. Because we can hide behind all these labels. We have stories galore that go with all these labels, that back up all these labels. And it's my experience that these labels and these stories are what actually take us furthest away from who we truly are. Who we are at our core, what I would call your essential self, your truest self, or quite frankly, your naked self. And not naked in a physical sense, but emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. Who are you at the core? So, what made me who I am today? And the first thing I wrote down was my life. It doesn't take me very long to get to that answer. But what made me who I am today is the ability to see my life happening for me rather than to me. I've lived a lot of my life in fear, scared, without really knowing quite what about. I've lived in a real fear state. Shame and guilt have featured a lot in my life, again, without really knowing why. I think I just felt I never really measured up and fitted in. So there's a lot of blame that kind of went on for me around my life. And it wasn't until I hit the very bottom of what I call my shit pit, probably about 10 years ago, that I recognized that if it was meant to be, it was up to me. I was fed up of blaming a particular person and the circumstances of our life on what I believed was completely out of my control. And until I woke up in the middle of the night at just after a miracle. And that arrived in the form of love and gratitude. But I've learned to recognize that my life is a reflection, or it's reflecting back at me exactly what I need to heal, how I need to grow and evolve. I'm a firm believer in that we are here to live the most joyous experience possible. I don't believe we are here to struggle and suffer. I see in my daily life, especially when I did the school run, I would see, and I'm sure many of you can agree with me, I could see people dragging themselves through lives at the very beginning of their day with their kids in tow, or possibly not, maybe even paces ahead of their kids, in traffic jams, angry. And I just, for me, when I experienced that space, all I would say to myself is there has to be an alternative. I really don't believe that we are here to struggle and be in pain. So from being a young woman, one of my very first recollections of what did I want to do when I grew up or when I left school was I wanted to help people feel better about themselves. It was so important to me that connection, that we had fun, that seeing people happy really floated my boat. And when people feel good, when we feel good, when we feel happy, I believe we feel invincible, limitless. I feel there's such a sense of vitality and empowerment. And I personally enjoy spending time around people like that. I don't enjoy spending time around people that are negative, angry, and grumpy. They're my three bugbears. If you were to ask me, what is your trigger? What would really get your goat? What would really kind of make you go, oh, I've got to do something about this? Is grumpy, negative, angry people. So when you flip it on its head, it's positive, happy, joyful people. So at the age of 13, 14, I decided that that's what I wanted to do with my life. I was rubbish at school. I didn't have any exams particularly, but I did have the ability to make people laugh, normally at my expense. But I did, and I enjoyed making people laugh. So that became something I wanted to really make my life about. So I went into the cosmetic industry, where I helped people feel better about themselves on the outside. 25 years on, I now do the complete opposite, and I help them feel better from the inside out. Because in all my years of working on aesthetics, TV and film makeup, and I've worked with some truly lovely people, and I've worked with some truly horrible people on the outside with their stories, because everybody at the core is gorgeous. You know, it doesn't matter what you look like on the outside. And that, for me, the beauty of anybody, each and every one of us, is the true beauty of our own hearts. The problem I found is that we are really, really scared of revealing that to the wider world. We don't even really know who that is when we look in the mirror, because all we see, taste, touch, hear, smell, our senses tell us that that's reality, whereas the reality of who we truly are is sheer bliss, joy, love, all of these wonderful things that really, if we had a magic wand, we would want to experience in our lives. So I think in the last, it took me 4 years to transition as I left my life and became a single parent looking out for my kids. I decided it was me, my children, and my mission. And that is where I got and had my greatest transformation, was when I actually was bold enough to put it in that order. Because I personally believe if we don't recognize who we are as an individual, how magnificent we are, the gifts that we have, then how on earth can we make any impact and make any difference to our lives, the lives of our loved ones around us, and then the lives of the greater world? So that then became my mission. To let go my last year has been about letting go and surrendering the parts of myself that I was running away from, my angry side, my shameful side, all the negativity that I had built up and collected, should I say, throughout my years, through programming, through conditioning, through things I believed about myself that just really aren't true, that I was rubbish or invisible or not worthy or ugly or fat or whatever it might be, all the stories that I'd carried around, releasing them bit by bit and getting to the source of who I truly am. And I last year was about falling in love with myself, because I didn't want to live on my own. I wanted to be the best example I possibly could to my children. And I recognized that when I shifted stuff within myself, and I say stuff, when I recognized where I was causing myself pain through blame, and being angry and really shafting any responsibility of my life onto the world around me. It's not my fault. I played that really well. Not my fault. This just happens to me. And once I started to take responsibility for my life, I magically found that my kids shifted, that my relationships became better in every area of my life. Colleagues, friendships. As there's many of you know on the call, it attracted the love of my life to me last year. So I feel in myself a completely different person. And that is because at the end of 2016, I asked myself a question, or I asked the universe a question: how can I share with the world how I believe that we are truly magnificent? And I got woken up the next morning with an image, and I'm just looking on my phone. I personally believe that we are everything and nothing all at the same time. I believe that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And I also believe that when we don't believe that to be true, that's when we are in our greatest pain and our greatest struggle. And that could be, you could be angry, ill, or addicted. For me, the three epidemics I believe are killing the human spirit, but killing off our human race and our connection. Perfect. And so when I said to myself, how can I demonstrate to the world that I believe we are everything and nothing all at the same time? I got, can you see this? Yeah, it's a rainbow, and it was a beautiful rainbow that was coming, was on my carpet in my bedroom, and I recognized where that rainbow was coming from, and I had a glass prism on my window ledge. And I recognized, and through my understanding of science, I knew that the sun was shining through this prism, creating that rainbow on the carpet in my bedroom.
Vanessa, I'm sorry, I didn't realise I was on mute. Did you hear me when I said you only had 4 minutes left? You did, yes. Okay, brilliant. Well done. Yeah.
Okay. Fine.
I did the sign language as well. Sorry to interrupt you. Carrie, got 3 minutes now. Go on. Sorry.
The premise now that with all my teachings, because I want to help people get naked, I want to help them strip back their stories. I want to help people recognize where their stories are, where it's causing them their pain, where that pain is disguised as ill health, whether they're addicted or whether they are angry or have a very volatile experiences in their lives, because of these stories. So when I asked that question and I got that rainbow shown to me in my bedroom, I recognized that I came up with a concept called the human prism principle. So if we recognize that we are this prism, and that the energy that turns the world, that grows the grass and beats our hearts, if we see that as the sunlight in my experience of the rainbow, when that sunlight, when that energy passes through us as human beings, that's by refraction is what causes the rainbow. That for me is what is our authentic expression. If the clouds had been out that day, then there would have been no rainbow. There is still a prism, the human being. There is still the sun, it's behind the clouds. The energy that turns the world is always there. But when the clouds are in place, when our stories are in place, that energy, we are blocking that energy from fueling us, from energizing us, from empowering us. And we are unable to express our authentic self. And that's when I believe we become tired and angry and ill and burnout. We've all been there. We can all we'll know how that story ends. But if we can clear our stories and get completely naked and allow that energy that turns the world, the highest part of us, to flow through us and live as our authentic selves and show our true colors, what a beautiful world that would be. And I think for me, that's what I found here in BeCollaboration. I'm connected with people, like-hearted souls that have a similar vision to me, that when I speak, they hear me, they see me, even if they don't understand me, they hold me in the space and they'll reflect back to me what they think. I have felt safe in sharing as I'm understanding more about myself. I feel safe, I feel held, I feel seen. And I just love what Erkan earlier said, or was it Jill said, about what we co-create together. Every single time we all get together, it is something so very different, that the impact that has on us as individuals, that then we can take back and present into the world around us. It really doesn't take much for us to have more of an impact in the world. I think it's something like 3.1% will pie when you hit a critical mass. That's when a shift can start to happen. That's really not very much. And I think that the more we can come together in communities like this, where we really want to shift from that fear-based community out there, the scarcity and the competition, it's one, everybody is out for themselves, whereas in this community, and we can all come together, I've absolutely found the connection. I love the top value of human being first. I think ultimately, if we don't have these people, if we're not well and we don't have well people in our lives, then really what is the point? There is no life, is there really? So for me, sharing the vision and the mission with other like-hearted souls is, for me, what it's all about. The possibility that we can create with all of that, I think, is outstanding and magnificent. So I'm all in. I'm all in. I can't hear you. You need to unmute yourself.
Now, I've unmuted. Hold on.
Technical issues.
Okay, right. Oh, hold on. I've unmuted it anyway. Right. Sorry. Right, so that should just be that as well. Right, okay. Can you hear us now? Yes? Great. Jill?
Thank you.
Well done, Vanessa.
Oh, she's muted now as well. So has anybody specifically got a question they would like to ask Vanessa? I think the quote of the session for me was, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. I love that one, Vanessa. That's talk about empowering as something to work yourself up to. That was brilliant. Lots of comments down, apart from please turn up the volume. Glenn was saying, loving the human prism principle. As a visual person, I'm appreciating these visuals, even the sperm. Okay, thank you, Jeremy. That's from before. So if you've got a question for Vanessa, either write it in the chat and we'll come back to it at the end, but we'll move on to the next thing now. So I'd like to thank very much. Quick jazz hands for everybody for Vanessa. Well done. That's lovely. Absolutely lovely. Thank you. You can expect more of that at BeCollaboration meeting. So I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. And we'll go back to... There we go. So this is normally part of the meeting where we would talk, collaborators come up and tell us what they're up to. Because we're cut for time, we don't have a huge amount for this. So this is a taster of what we'd normally say. So normally Erkan would be telling us a little bit about what's happening with Engage by BeCollaboration. There's a whole group on the platform that you can go to if you're interested in the consultancy. This is the commercial offering of BeCollaboration, where we get to utilise all the wonderful talent that we have in our community. If you want to know more, please request to join the closed group within the platform, and that's where Erkan has lots of videos and he can connect with you and tell you more. But that is Erkan's baby. I'm not going to let you talk about that today because we're just trying things out. Things like the ISO 44001, you've got an idea of it there. Again, at a meeting we can tell you more. If you're interested, ask in the chat and I will tell you more about that as well. Be Inspired, Discover Your Genius. It's worth mentioning that we have another Be Inspired program on the 19th of January. This is what we consider to be our flagship program, helping people to reignite with their inner genius. Doesn't mean to say you're an Einstein, doesn't mean to say you're a Picasso. It just means that the reason you're on this planet is the genius that you have within you, that everybody has within them. And we help to reconnect you to that genius and your purpose and your why. Oh, hang on, we're back to context again, aren't we? It's interesting how it keeps going around. And again, I would normally let Erkan wax lyrical about this amazing event. If you want to ask any questions about that, please pop it in the chat and we'll come back to that at the end. Another thing that we might talk about is the Making of a Movement book. If you'd like to know the backstory around BeCollaboration, we have a book. Check out the website, check out Amazon. Just thought I'd let you know. Oh yeah, and I wrote it as well. This is our online publication, The Quest. Our latest issue has Kay Westrap on the front. Kay is our website wizard, amongst other things. She is a fascinating woman. If you want to know her story, check out The Quest, also on the website. And we have issues, articles, Linda can tell you more, available. She's been posting those like crazy on social media. So I'm moving on to finding out how aligned we are. Oh, I've swapped it, haven't I? This is interesting. Linda was with me today, and on the agenda I put human being first, and now I've put freedom. We had a choice between the one we've just done or the one we're going to do. So all through January we're going to be looking at freedom. What does it mean to you? For Erkan and myself, we talk about the power of choice. That is your freedom. What does that mean to you? So I think it's probably worth opening up a microphone. If somebody wants to wave to us, I don't know if that would work, or put something in chat. You've got chat sitting there.
Glenn? No, oh, we haven't got, okay, Glenn's doing tunis. All right, okay.
Can you see chat there? I haven't got chat.
Yeah, I've got chat up. Anyone would like to, so the idea with this portion, normally somebody would lead the conversation as an inquiry. What does freedom mean to us in the context of a collaborative community? Yeah, so I'd like to kick off to get us kind of started. So I think what's really important when you're collaborating, as you start to engage with people, is the freedom to be able to say what there is to say. I think Vanessa said something about BeCollaboration as the experience of a safe space. So that gives us freedom to stretch, to explore, and also I can say that doesn't work for me. That's reached a boundary, but also understand that boundary is keeping me inside a certain level of performance or a certain experience in life, where I can work with others to help me identify and break through those boundaries. So the freedom to be able to say those things, like authentically, is very powerful for us as individuals. Okay, so if anyone would like me to unmic them, how do you see freedom as a context in the world of collaboration, or in your life, if you like, as well?
We've got time for maybe 2 people to make a comment around what freedom means to them.
Yeah. So who one of our guests today, maybe someone who's not been at a real live meeting, who'd like to say anything? We've got Jeremy, Katie, Terry. Is that Uzara? Mm-hmm. Terry? So who'd like to have a go? If you just give me a little message via chat, I'll put you on. Anyone?
Yes, Katie.
Oh, Katie. Okay. Visual cue. Lovely. All right, Katie, I'm unmuting you now. Hi there.
Hiya. Hi. Okay, freedom for me and collaboration. Okay, I'm going to bring it back to me. Love begins with me. For those that don't know, I'm the UK coordinator for the Love Foundation, which is all about inspiring people to love unconditionally. So first of all, it's about loving myself unconditionally. And I can do that, hence at this meeting right now, because I love myself unconditionally. I freely speak my truth in every given moment. I don't live with any limitations. I basically just share my truth from my perspective, so my perception. So, and I think if more people were to be able to just speak freely and not suppress what they truly want to express to each other, well, if everybody did that in one night, it'd be world peace tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, that's a lovely thought, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's a lovely thought.
Absolutely.
Except some people express a bit too much, and it's not quite in the right vein of unconditional love, is it? So there's a freedom of speech and a freedom of being, but I think sometimes you might have to I think when it's done from a place of love, connection and abundance, you're fine, aren't you? It's a wonderful place to be.
Yes. Also, feel that when somebody's speaking their truth and their perception, which may not come from love and abundance, they are still speaking their truth. And I feel that it's, how can I put it? I don't take anything personally. So no matter what anybody says to me, you know, whatever they say about me, I don't take it personally, unless, of course, they want to pay me a big, massive compliment. I'll take that personally any day. But what I'm saying is, if, you know, every single person on the planet, how I see it, is speaking their truth. And it's not about, I personally believe collaborating is about, just as you said before, it's about listening to what the person's saying, perhaps putting yourself in their shoes as well, and look at from a, listen from a, what's the word I want to say? From a, like an observer's perspective, as opposed to taking on board what they're saying.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'd say maybe like watching your judgment, you know,
Yeah.
like, rather than allowing them to be where they are, we filter on. That's where context can be quite interesting, because we're already, you know, that context is already judging the person, and knowing we have a context and allowing people to be free, that gives us freedom as well. I think that's what I'm hearing in what you're saying.
Yes, exactly. When somebody's angry at me, I know it's got nothing to do with me and everything to do with them. And actually what I do is listen, because when somebody is angry at me, they're just projecting how they truly feel about themselves. It's never about me.
Yeah. And you have to meet them where they are, don't you? It's
Yeah.
once you're alongside someone, then
That's right.
hear what you might be wanting to say.
Okay, well then, thank you. Round of applause, jazz hands. Okay, would anyone else like to? I'm gonna mute you again, Katie, so we can. Am I unmuted?
Can I say something, please, Ken?
Yeah.
Hello, Terry.
Yeah, well done. Go for it.
Seeing as I'm one of the newbies.
Yes. No, well done. I don't know why we can hear you, because I didn't know I'd unmuted you. But oh yeah, I have.
Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to try and say this as succinctly as possible, because there's so much that I would like to share, especially, you know, first of all, being new and now kind of, you know, being in this first meeting. But what I would say to this point of freedom and collaboration, for me personally, if we're really going to collaborate in the way that's possible, and I feel in the way that's needed, in order not to just come together and create a new business and for that to be successful, but to change the world,
Yeah.
we have to be willing for things to get very, very mucky. If we can't do that and allow ourselves to get mucky and that to be seen, and to support others in all of the things that we typically don't like, that we've been so conditioned to think see them as the obstacle in our way,
Yeah.
then we're always going to struggle for freedom. We're always going to struggle to collaborate.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I still feel personally that every time I've ever gotten involved in these types of I'm going to be a little bit kind of vulnerable now here for me. Every time I've gotten involved in these types of things, because I've been involved in many types of groups like this over the last 20 odd years, this freedom has never really been there.
Yeah.
It's been spoken about. It's even been, you know, people have even said that, no, it's here. This is a safe space, when it's not a safe space.
Mm.
And if and we have to realize that we don't really know what that depth of safety, that depth of security, that depth of support that's needed, so our nervous system can relax enough, so all of that conditioning can start to surface. We don't really know what that looks like. So part of the muckiness that I'm talking about is to realize when we're not actually helping someone to feel safe, even helping ourselves to feel safe, and then be vulnerable with that. You know, to be vulnerable when we think that, you know, when we think, well, I'm not judging that person and it's all about them, when actually it's not necessarily all about them. It's also partly about me, because I'm attracting whatever this person is now directing at me. There's so much that, I just feel that we're still missing. And unless we are willing to acknowledge that and relax in that possibility that there's so much that's going to come up here that is going to trigger us, that is going to scare us, that is going to bring out all of these things that we've been conditioned to suppress, then we're always going to just kind of scratch the surface of what's possible, and then delude ourselves in thinking that, oh yeah, I'm doing the work, my life is changing, because things are changing, but in comparison to the depth of change that's possible, we're still just scratching the surface. But we've got no context of what real change, like massive transformational change, looks like. So when this little change comes along, we can say, oh yeah, wow, I've arrived, when we haven't.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, the phrase "getting mucky," I think, kind of sums it up for me. I think that was perfect, because it is an ongoing learning journey, and as you say, scratching the surface is like an understatement. And we're going to have to keep scratching the surface and keep scratching the surface and keep getting mucky and keep getting mucky, and it's never going to come to an end, because I don't know about you, but I'm 55 years conditioned. So there's a lot of unconditioning to be done. And providing you're coming to it with basis of unconditional love for humanity, then you can keep going. It's when you come up with selfishness or fear.
But that's a good example. You're going to come up against selfishness. You're going to come up against fear.
Exactly.
That's to be expected.
Yeah.
So that's not the obstacle in our way, as far as it seems to me. The obstacle in our way is typically our response to those things, those inevitable things that are still going to come up.
Yeah.
Can I just, we haven't got long, have we?
No,
I just want to acknowledge that sharing, Terry.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. And you've got your finger so on the pulse. And I think what happens, you know, what I'm finding is happening in this meeting for me is the experience of being together and asking the questions and sharing. And to me, that's the freedom, is that whatever is the way it is, and how we choose to be around it is where the freedom is. Because I can be really angry. And if anyone has been around my life for the last, well, not now, but, you know, prior to the summer, I was very angry and very stuck. And I would say it's the community that supported me out of that, as a community, and the investment that I've put into my relationships and the friendships and the trust that I've built made what I could have railroaded me off my purpose in life, brought me back stronger. So there's a lot to be said for sharing that journey and sharing it wherever it is. So really great, Terry. Thank you. Really appreciate
Terry.
that.
Yeah, and just to give you an idea that this is the depth of some of the conversations we have at BeCollaboration. Again, this is just scratching the surface as well. So talking about one of our core values, and I appreciate both Katie and Terry for getting in there and having comments. I'm sorry it was so short. We could have done 2 hours on each of you having that conversation. But we have Glenn Williamson, who has an insight, and he's looking. The Genius slot, as it stands, is a place where we can explore, a place where we can go, well, I've been doing this study, I've been doing this research, I've been on this course, this is what it struck me as, this is how I saw it, what do you think? So again, we can have a bit of discussion around this, but I'm going to hand over to Glenn now, who's going to be sharing what he's been learning recently. So have you unmuted Glenn? Over to you, Glenn.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you, Jill.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Excellent. That picture of me there was a few years ago.
Yeah. You know what? I Googled you. It's the only one I could find.
I like it. It's pre-grey. So, yeah, let's go with it. Let's go with it. So I wanted to take a little time to talk about teams and the importance of using teams in a collaborative way. You see, I've just embarked on a 12-month program called the Team Management and Leadership Program. I'm 1 month into it, and it's a landmark program. And basically, it takes advanced communication skills that you learn in the qualifying courses and uses those advanced communication skills to create teams and team cohesion in every area of your life through the playing of games that you take into the world. And just as an aside, my team game, for anyone that's interested, is getting sales taught in schools. Everyone that knows me knows that I believe that sales is the most important aspect of any business, but also an important life skill. We use it in work and out of work. We use it everywhere. It's how we survive. And until you sell something within a business, nothing really happens. So you can have the best people, the best operation, the shiniest brand, the most awesome product. You can have it all. But unless someone sells something, your business is effectively dying. And you need to continue selling constantly in your business in order to, at acceptable margins, in order to survive and to thrive. Yet this discipline is not taught properly at schools, in business qualifications, in MBAs, at universities, at colleges. There are a couple of universities in the United States teaching it. One, I believe, in the UK, but apart from that, it's just sadly neglected. So having trained thousands of salespeople myself and consulted with hundreds of businesses, sadly, I meet very few companies who can sell. But at the heart of selling lies two or three really fundamental concepts. One of them is that a whole business actually sells. It's not individuals that go out, but a whole business orients itself towards selling. And that calls for teams to operate in a highly collaborative way. So what I'm seeing in this course that I'm on, this program that I'm on already, is evolving my understanding of collaboration and team. So in creating team through communication and collaboration, you perform much more effectively. I'm noticing that you get things done more quickly. I'm in my 50s, so I'm surprised to learn that it's taken me this long to realize that the team can be so much more effective than I ever thought it could be. And you do so in a way that's kind of different to the traditional model that we see every day. But you do something else, and that's what I really wanted to share with you today. From a professional point of view, as a consultant sales director and sales trainer, I'm constantly interested in the area of team and collaboration. I'm constantly experimenting with it, and maybe I'll share an experiment that I use to show the difference between cooperation and collaboration within sales teams. And I coach sales professionals at all levels. The ability to collaborate internally, i.e. with your colleagues, and externally, i.e. with your customers, is absolutely game-changing. What I see typically is that people say to me, yeah, I am collaborating. When I explore into how they're collaborating, what they're effectively doing is having meetings. But that's different. I'm not talking about having meetings. I'm talking about collaboration, and maybe I can just open that up a little bit. So with the backdrop of the team program and my day-to-day interest in having the world sell more effectively, I'm getting more and more fascinated with how much more fulfilled we can be and how much more happy we can be if we use teams in a collaborative way to achieve our goals. Now, I slightly avoid the word teamwork generally when I'm talking about this. That's not to say that teamwork isn't an important concept, but this term for me somehow conjures the idea of a structure where someone is in control, who commands a group of people to do his or her bidding so that a certain end is achieved and a certain outcome is forced in line with set goals for that individual. The commander has responsibility for the outcome. And what is missing here in my experience is that the team is not fully invested in the vision, in the mission, or the outcomes. And this initiative is about the leader's ability to deliver the results. So there lacks the space in the process for the individuals to show their talent, to express their genius, if you like. And the team leader gets the credit, and sometimes they give a little bit of credit to the team members because they believe that's the right thing to do. But really, there's no real collaboration, no true collaboration happening on the level of understanding each other. And therefore, the results reflect this. They're limited. So contrast this perhaps with true collaboration. And this is what I'm getting from the early stage of this course, how much more you can get, where there are no leaders as such, simply a cause, someone who stands for the vision and the goal, and the commitment to be constantly in action. And what I'm witnessing is that once this cause is established, there is no commander with a big ego who is out to show how great they are. Yes, there's a conductor who pulls the team together. Note, as Erkan said to me recently, the conductor is the only one in the orchestra who doesn't make a sound. The one that goes unnoticed while we appreciate all the fabulous music that's created. But without them, there would be chaos. So I'm actually currently in the process of my team formation, trying to enroll in individuals to come onto my team and share my vision. As part of my game to get into schools. So I've spoken to someone who is interested in creating a platform for me, with me, I should say, not for me, because that goes back to cooperation. So to create a platform with me, they turned out to be extremely passionate about education, and the fact that they share with me how they want the education system to more reflect the world that we live in, and they've already given me some fantastic input that has enhanced the course design. I've connected with a teacher who shares my stand, and in one conversation so far has given me some great ideas in terms of how to sell this into schools. But what I was doing was pretty much opening a space for them. I wasn't the leader with an ego of saying, this is my project, I want to take this to the world and become famous. I was saying, well, what is possible in this space with a certain empowering context and mindset? So I'm inviting people as the person with the cause and the idea, as the initiator, if you like, to be part of the whole, not to just participate in a small part of it. See, a collaborative team is formed for me from people who are passionate about the vision, who want to contribute to that particular area, who own the vision and the project, and their passion has them own the outcome as if it is theirs. The initiator ensures that the team works together and makes progress. But what happens, and I'm already witnessing this, is that people get to know each other differently. They communicate more openly, they share in the spoils, and they generate in a way that is powerful. Generate themselves, generate each other, and generate ideas and creative ways of being. Let me just share with you an experiment that I did earlier on this month. I'm working with a company who sells software in the oil and gas industry. I took 9 salespeople and created 3 teams of 3. Each of them wrote a sales strategy for their business for 2019. They used a template that I provided for them. It was a 3-page template, so not too difficult. It didn't take too long, a couple of hours, very easy and very compact. So they got together for 2 or 3 hours, and they completed it professionally as a team. The tendency in this exercise is for each of the 3 teams, in each of the 3 teams, for a leader to emerge and to make assessments of the other people within his team or her team, so that each section of the strategy template is assigned to individuals who have shown specific skills in specific areas. They go away, they fill out their parts of the document, and at the end of the process, they have a document, they have a strategy document, which is an example of good cooperation, quite frankly. Once assigned, they work diligently and individually and ensure their parts are well completed. There's very little communication once a process gets underway, very little interaction, very little creativity in their documents. They were cooperating toward a finished document. It was almost as though finishing the document was more important than creating greatness within it. So afterwards, they analyze the process. They're satisfied with the way the tasks were assigned. They considered their skill sets. They got the job done. They produced a document, first draft, that they were quite proud of. None of them seemed overly excited. And if you read the document, you could see why. But anyway, this is what I see in businesses every single day. So each of the team took.
Can you hear me, Glenn? I'm just going to interrupt you. We have got about 1 minute to go. I do apologise, but
wow, that went quick. That went quickly.
I'm sorry.
All right, let me talk quicker. So each of the teams scored one of the other team's sales strategies based on a specific criteria, and they got 6 out of 10. Then I created 2 of the teams together, a team of 6, and they took the best bits from all of the strategies, and they created a new strategy. And to cut a long story short, because I only have seconds left, they scored 8.7 out of 10, a 33% increase over and above what the individuals did when they collaborated. You see, by this very nature, the very nature of this exercise, they had to gain consensus through discussion, understanding each other. So more notable than a powerful outcome and a higher score was the process. The increased level of communication, how they got to consensus, the improved listening in the room, the realization that individuals, without exception, were more interesting and capable than they thought they were previously. They got to know each other in the process, and the common focus meant they all felt valued. I do this in several different areas. I do it with proposals. I do it all over the place, because if a team truly collaborates on a proposal in the same way, the people always say that they create much more than the sum of their parts through mutual understanding, communication in this way. You see, when we collaborate, we get to see the best of all of us, the best of our humanity. We leave the ego behind, giving everyone the space to contribute, so that there is not only one winner, but everyone wins and everyone grows. We appreciate each other more. When we collaborate, we open ourselves up, and in doing so, give permission to others to be open also. Everyone has a voice, and everyone wants the same thing. Letting go of control, which inevitably leads to competition. Collaboration is the great equalizer, and the ones that hadn't had the chance to contribute before start to shine in a way they've never shone before, because we're creators and we create each other in communication. Collaboration is creation, and that's what I'm getting from team. We're all a contribution. We just need to find or create the right environment so that we can all feel involved, to share our vision, to let go of our egos, and then that is when we see humanity at its best.
Whoa.
Well done.
Nice to start. That was brilliant. Thank you very much. That was lovely. That's everybody. That was brilliant.
Thank you.
I've already said I'm really sorry that we have overrun, but as I said, this is our very first online experience, and true to BeCollaboration meetings, we get too excited in what's going on, and the time runs away with us. So I want to thank Glenn. If anybody's got any questions, you can pop them into the chat group. We are recording this, so we can come along and have a look at the chat later. And if you want to connect directly with Glenn or Vanessa, then they're on the platform. You can just directly message them and ask more about it. Or indeed, Terry and Katie as well, with their wonderful input as well. I'm glad Barry got on the call at the 11th hour, but we're going to shut now, Barry. I'm sorry. But thank you for trying and persisting. We're really pleased for you.
Can I say something? So if also any feedback via either the platform or via, or was you going to say that anyway? Sure.
No, go on.
Yeah, any feedback to JOP or on the platform of what you got from today, because I know you guys, most of you have been listening and interacting in a different way. But the more that we know this is working and people love it, the more we'll do it. Simple as that.
Yeah. So we hopefully we'll get this in a regular format, and hopefully we'll get better at it in time, because both Erkan and I are not technical whiz kids, as Jeremy will tell you. No, come on. What happened in there?
Brutal.
There was a noise going on, and we both looked at each other.
I think that was Barry.
Thank you all for coming and spending an hour of your evening with us. I've had a lovely time. I've learned loads from Glenn, and everybody that's contributed today, I've learned something from. So thank you. I've got a page full of notes. Hopefully you've got some things that you can reflect on and think about. So pop something into the platform, let people know. What was your favourite quote of the session? I love that Glenn was that collaboration is creation. What is possible in collaborative space? Getting mucky in your vulnerability.
Wow.
and falling in love with yourself. There's so many different things that came out of that for me. So I'm really grateful. Thank you for being here. But I'm going to close now because it's nearly 8:10, and apparently that's very naughty to go over time. So I do apologise.
It's good night from me, and it's good night.
Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time. Well, take care, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Oh, yeah. Still going on. Bye, Al.